With the invasion of Iraq in March.
Sorry, that just really started. So this is the mission to capture Saddam Hussein, Operation Red Dawn 2003. This is from the Intel report. It's another channel from the operations room. I just did one on the Bay of Pigs from the operation room. Two-parter. It was really good. Released the first one today. Before we get started, if you can click that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, that helps me out tremendously. It's optional. You can donate to the channel through the thanks button. I don't see one here. If you do, you request a video, you get sponsoring that video. You can donate and not request anything, and you don't have to donate and still request. It just takes a little bit longer. Just leave the video in the comment section. All right, let's get into this video here.
With the invasion of Iraq in March 2003, the hunt for high-value target number 1, Saddam Hussein, was on. The Iraqi dictator made his last public appearance on the 9th of April 2003 in Baghdad, near the Abu Hanifa Mosque, telling the crowds, "I am fighting alongside you in the same trenches." He swiftly went into hiding as American and coalition forces closed in on the Iraqi capital. A new unit, Task Force 121, was created to find him. The net was closing in on the dictator. It was only a matter of time before he was found and could be brought to justice for his brutal regime during his near 25-year role as leader of the Iraqi state. A quick word from this week's sponsor, Ground News, and the particles from a source picture in Iraq. Send back in part to plain located spectrum. Ground viewers 40 is doing in was a combined service. You'll check them out. Task Force 121 was a combined service force which consisted of elements of the CIA, US Army, Navy and Air Force. The operation to capture Saddam was named Operation Red Dawn, after the 1984 film, which saw Patrick Swayze lead an armed rebellion, the Wolverines, against a Soviet invasion of the US. The film's director John Milius told the LA Times of his admiration of having the operation named after his work. The two main elements on the ground in the film Red Dawn were called Wolverine 1 and 2. Task Force 121 would be supported in the search by the 1st Brigade Combat Team of the US 4th Infantry Division, hence the combined call sign Task Force 121. After the completion of the invasion, between July and December 2003, 12 raids had been conducted to find Saddam to no avail. But in early December 2003, one of his former drivers came forward with a name. Mohammed Ibrahim Omar al-Muslit was a former bodyguard of the Husseins. Known to the task force as the Fat Man or the Source, al-Muslit would prove to be a key informant in the task force's mission. James Ferguson, who at the time was serving as an intelligence analyst with the 4th Infantry Division, later spoke of the importance of Muslit to the overall success of the operation. The al-Muslit family was the key as far as they provided all the inner circle of bodyguards. We did a raid on Omar al-Muslit, who was the patriarch of the family, on his farm, and that provided us with a ton of pictures of who these people were, so we actually now had something to look for. Al-Muslit was captured on the 12th of December 2003. He was interrogated and eventually gave up information on the whereabouts of Saddam Hussein. He was in a village somewhere near the town of Tikrit, Hussein's birthplace, just 87 miles northwest of Baghdad. The task force was mobilized in the early hours of the 13th of December, consisting of 600 men with armor and helicopter support. Al-Muslit himself was brought along with the task force to help pinpoint the exact location of Saddam, in a farm just south of Tikrit. The task force was prepared for a pitched battle to seize Saddam Hussein, believing that he could be protected by 20 or 30 men. Colonel Hickey called Major General Raymond Odierno, commander of the US 4th Infantry Division, to set out the plans of the potential operation and to discuss the validity of al-Muslit's information. Odierno spoke of the readiness of his men and his want to carry out the operation. "I'm confident that we can get him. Our troops are at their peak of effectiveness and have been pursuing this with Special Operations Forces for months." During this phone call, the task force operators were still working with Muslit on a firm location on Saddam Hussein. He finally revealed that he was hiding in the small town of Ad-Dwar, close to Tikrit on the east side of the Tigris River. 2 farms were located as possible target locations. The mission to find high-value target number 1 would commence at 8 PM on the 13th of December 2003. 2 howitzers from the 4th Battalion, 42nd Field Artillery were set up to provide fire support for the task force if needed, and troops from the 299th Engineer Battalion were placed on the west bank of the Tigris to block any escape route if Saddam Hussein attempted a breakout. A final blocking force could be flown over the west bank by Apache helicopters of A Company 1st Battalion 4th Aviation if needed. Armoured support was provided by the 10th Cavalry Squadron. The task force would leave nothing to chance to get their man. At 8 PM, men of Task Force 121 took up position around the areas of the farm dubbed Wolverine 1 and 2. The American troops aided by the use of both thermal and night vision devices to help them search for their prize. They were supported by helicopter assets and Bradley fighting vehicles, ensuring any resistance encountered could be dealt with effectively. The raid was also helped by a power outage at 7:45 PM that plunged the area into darkness. The orchards around the farms were full of vegetation, but the area seemed deserted, with almost no sign of activity or any kind of security forces to protect Saddam Hussein. The projected level of defense of the farm seemed to be entirely false. The teams searched the orchards and nearby small buildings, but found no evidence of the target. Their immediate fear was that he might have escaped mere moments before their arrival. At the farm dubbed Wolverine 1, 2 men were captured, attempting to flee from the American troops. These men turned out to be Saddam's cook, Qais Namak Jassim, and his brother. Al-Muslit had been brought up in a Humvee to aid the search from the passenger seat. The US troops interrogated the cook and his brother and were told of an underground facility.
Was the security light so it didn't draw attention, or was he just not rolling with a lot of security so that he could keep a low profile? I think I just said the same thing from 2 different angles.
They started searching for anything that looked like it could be an entrance to an underground complex, but did not immediately find anything. Al-Muslit was asked again to give up Saddam's exact location. He was taken through the farmhouse, a small collection of disjointed rooms that had already been searched by task force operators. Al-Muslit walked onto a small patio area and put his foot on a mat on the floor.
Sorry, phone was going off. Let me get this back up. Okay.
The Americans moved it aside and then started to kick away the dirt underneath. A door soon revealed itself. A report came back to Colonel Hickey. "Sir, we may have a potential jackpot." A thick styrofoam panel was lifted up from the hole in the ground. The American troops trained their weapons on it and readied a flashbang. Torches illuminated the hole, revealing a man wearing a black dishdash, a traditional robe worn all over the Middle East. Samir, whose full name is unknown, an Iraqi-American who had been living in the US since 1994 and had joined the army in 2003 just before the US-led invasion of his homeland, was now working as a translator for the task force. He was brought over to talk to the man inside the hole. "Who are you?" yelled down Samir. A voice returned from the darkness. "I am Saddam Hussein, the duly elected president of Iraq. I am willing to negotiate." An American soldier was quick to respond. "Well, President Bush sends his regards." Saddam Hussein was pulled out of the hole. It was searched by American operators, locating a Glock automatic pistol, an AK-47, and $750,000 US. With no resistance met, the dictator had been captured without any loss to the task force. The hole itself, dubbed the Hussein Hilton, was no bigger than 6 feet across, with a switch that controlled a fan and a rug to lay on, a far cry from the presidential residences the dictator had been used to. Saddam Hussein was helicoptered out of the area to the mission support site in Tikrit, then to Baghdad, where he was taken into official custody. Paul Bremer, who at the time was the United States provincial envoy to Iraq, would stand before the world to deliver the news, uttering the famous words, "Ladies and gentlemen, we got him." The gathered journalists and reporters cheered and gave a standing ovation. President Bush gave a statement from the White House, commending the men and women who had helped capture Saddam Hussein. The success of yesterday's mission is a tribute to our men and women now serving in Iraq. The operation was based on the superb work of intelligence analysts who found the dictator's footprints in a vast country. The operation was carried out with skill and precision by a brave fighting force. Our servicemen and women, and our coalition allies, have faced many dangers in the hunt for members of the fallen regime. and in their effort to bring hope and freedom to the Iraqi people, and so did the risks. Today, on behalf of the nation, I thank the members of our armed forces and I congratulate them. The trial of Saddam Hussein was conducted between the 19th of October 2005 and the 21st of December 2006. He was found guilty of crimes against humanity for his role in the 1982 Dujail massacre, a mass killing of Shia Muslim rebels by the then Ba'athist government of Iraq, where almost 150 people were killed in response to a failed assassination plot against Saddam by the Iranian-backed Islamic Dawa Party. He was sentenced to death on the 30th of December 2006. Thanks to our amazing patrons who
Wow. So I'm a little, he was a bad guy, yes. But I still don't think that was a war. I mean, Iraq was not a good option. But can't do anything about it now, 20-some years later. All right. Oh, jeez. Well, that was interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, have a good day, have a good night.